Two of America's most eloquent and most decided commentators have joined us this year. They are Gore Vidal, a former Democratic candidate for Congress, but better known as an author of, among many other things, a play about a political convention, and William F. Buckley, Jr., a former conservative candidate for the mayor of New York, but better known as a columnist, commentator, and editor of the National Review.
Obviously not live tonight, but in color from 47 years ago, Howard K. Smith of ABC News introducing his network's unconventional coverage of the 1968 political conventions, a nightly 90-minute wrap-up featuring debates between conservative William F. Buckley and liberal Gore Vidal. About the only thing that duo had in common was that they had both run for political office and lost. Buckley in the 1965 mayoral election for New York City, where he ran on the conservative line, and Vidal, who was a Democratic candidate for Congress from New York State in 1960, and who would later mount an unsuccessful 1982 bid for the U.S. Senate from California. Their 1968 debates are the subject of a new commentary entitled Best of Enemies. The film chronicles not only what the two did best, which in retrospect was to bring out the worst in each other, it also documents the rise of what has become standard fare on programs like this one, impassioned ideological and political debate. The trailer for the film also details what has become the standard MO for the left when it comes to these televised discussions.
Gore told me he hired a researcher. He wanted to paint National Review as being racist, if he could, anti-Semitic.
I don't think he was really interested in conducting a debate about the issues, or about the parties, or about the policies, or about the platforms of the two parties. What he wanted to do was to expose Bill Buckley.
And on the night of August 29, 1968, following the crackdown by Chicago police on student protesters at the Democratic Convention, ABC viewers were exposed to what might be called hate speech today, but back then in a less politically correct era was simply called off-color. Somehow it's fitting that only a black and white tape remains of those off-color remarks.
Shut up a minute.
No, I won't.
And
some people were pro-Nazi, and the answer is that they were well treated by people who ostracized them, and I'm for ostracizing people who egg on other people to shoot American Marines and American soldiers. I know you don't care.
As far as I'm concerned, the only sort of pro-crypto-Nazi I can think of is yourself. Failing that, I would only say that we can't have...
Now listen, you stop calling me a crypto-Nazi.
Let's stop calling names.
You in your face, and you'll stay plastered.
It's worth noting what we bleeped out tonight in 2015 went out over the airwaves completely uncensored back in 1968. The enmity between Buckley and Vidal was every bit as real and raw as that exchange, and perhaps just as inevitable.
Their confrontation is about lifestyle. What kind of people should we be? Their real argument in front of the public is who is the better person.
Buckley died in 2008. Vidal reacted to that news by remarking, quote, "Hell is bound to be a livelier place," end quote. You know, Gore Vidal must have been joking, because the following year he became the honorary president of the American Humanist Association, underscoring his disbelief in any form of afterlife. In 2012, Vidal died, but his feud with Buckley lives on in Best of Enemies, and political debate on TV shows shows no signs of imminent demise. That's the way I see it. Now the way you see it. This correspondence from Wolfgang. Here's what he has to say. JD, thanks for the great commentary and insight from Craig Shirley. Your discussion with him about Ronald Reagan brought back many wonderful remembrances of the years I was blessed to have served our nation under the greatest president of the 20th century. Craig was absolutely right about Trump's success. He has energized those Americans needing the humor and unfiltered straight talk of yesteryear. Thanks, Wolfgang. If you have a comment for us, send it to us at newsmaxtv.com/comments. That'll do it for tonight. Stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.